But we are here talking about the holidays. Just very quickly, my name is Greg Zakwitz. I'm a resident marketing strategist and director of content here at OmniSend. We obviously have a booth in the expo hall. So if you're curious about who OmniSend is, I invite you to head over there after the session. I'll try to pop over, answer some questions as well. Just very quickly, we are a marketing automation platform specifically built for e-commerce retailers. So if you are selling something online and you are in the email marketing, we are open to talking to you. Let us talk to you about how we can help you. So pop on over to the booth in the expo hall afterward, and we'll chat it up from there. So with the holidays, I'm going to save you from all the, hey, this year is going to be different, and all the common things you're typically hearing. And like my background, usually for these presentations, I have a green screen with a fake background that makes me look a lot more professional. I figured no BS, so why not just throw part of my office up here, which is less than desirable, but you can see it here. The goal of the presentation today, I'm going to try to get you out of here in just about 30 minutes, but to walk through the things that I think are going to drive the most amount of revenue for you this holiday season. There's tons of other things you can do to prep for it. Those are all well and good. I want to cut through it and say, okay, how do I increase your sales and how do I decrease your workload? And that is the goal here. So really, I'm going to hammer in on 3 specific things today. 1, messaging essentials. 2, channel opportunities where I think there is a gold mine for, and I'm not going to cover all of them, but it's very specific ones. And then 3, best practices, some strategies around promotional sending, when to start sending, ramp up periods and the whole thing there. And again, we want to focus on these 3 things that we know you need to do that are going to drive revenue for you. So without further ado, I'm going to start with the first one. And this, when we talk about messaging, I really want to talk about automation, but not all automation. Of course, all automation is going to be important for you, but we want to talk about very specific pieces of automation. They're going to be more of your revenue drivers than anything. We all know that consumers shop differently during the holidays. It's often quicker, it's often more often, and they're also looking for deals. We all know it and we all hate it because we have to incentivize through the roof on a lot of different things if that is part of your strategy, and consumers like it and they love it. But when it comes to revenue driving messages, you have the ability to maybe incentivize a little bit less, but still convert customers. I want to walk through both sides of that. So at OmniSend, we started putting out these quarterly stats reports where we're looking at email marketing metrics year over year, SMS metrics, push message metrics, and we're looking for trends in there and how they do. So we recently released a Q2 report, and pulling out of there, if you look at automated messages, 26% of all email conversions came off these automated messages, less than 2% of email sends for the quarter, which is just crazy to think about. So 1.9% of email sends are driving 20% to 26% of the conversions. That is going to accelerate in the holiday season, probably more so. My guess is you'll probably hit around that 30% mark, but these are things you can make some money while you're sleeping and prevent your competitors from stealing your things. Typically highly read messages, average open rates for those automated messages over 30%. So we can see where the inbox get crowded, the more relevant messages will be the cream that rises to the top. And so I'm going to talk about these automated here, but I will talk about regular promotional sending later in the presentation as well. And I'm going to start by talking about a welcome message. So welcome messages, obviously we all know it. We're going to get an influx of email subscribers the holiday season, new shoppers. A lot of times, what are they doing? They're signing up and saying, hey, you're going to give me an incentive in there? Chances are they're probably right? So welcome messages, more so than the series, extremely important. Again, from the Q2 stats report, almost 10% of conversions for the entire quarter. Conversion rate, 48%, that's ridiculous, right? So I had to go back, double, triple check those metrics. I've never seen something so high. This is a lot of sends, hundreds of thousands of sends, and they converted like gangbusters. So we want to use this to capitalize upon consumer intent during the holiday season. And here's how we can do that. We're going to talk about incentives, differentiators, types of holiday content you can kind of do to thematic your message, and then adding channels to on top of that to help drive that engagement and conversion. So let's start with incentive here. 1, and this goes for any message I'm going to talk about and repeat myself a couple different times today, but look at the matching of the holiday strategy. So if you are traditionally doing, say, 30% off site-wide sales throughout the holiday season and your welcome incentive is maybe 10% off, that doesn't make it a bad thing, but it's not really compelling to the subscriber who's maybe signing up and then seeing the 30% off. It's not the message that's going to captivate them. So we're going to need other things there as well. So if you have the ability to adjust your incentive, definitely you have the ability to do so at that point. And I would do so, right? Try to make it match a little bit or find a different way to spin that incentive. So maybe it's a stackable discount. You have a 20% off site-wide sale, but we're going to offer you $5 off a purchase over 50 or more, right? We have that minimum spend in there, but maybe we can stack that $5 along with the 20% off and make it more enticing for the consumer. But again, we're setting a minimum spend, so we're trying to protect our margins a little bit more there. So, and sense of urgency, you're going to hear me say this a lot today as well. Whether you have an incentive or not, this is the year. We talk about COVID and this year is going to be different. This is the year where sense of urgency is going to play a major factor. The fact is, we just don't know what's going to happen with shipping deadlines. Everyone's saying that shipping is going to be delayed. We don't really know if that's the case. We don't know if imports are going to be slowed or delayed again, causing inventory issues. So this sense of urgency, get it before it's gone, get it before it's too late, might really play a factor, especially early in the season and in the next couple of weeks here as well. So really focus on that sense of urgency and focus on the incentive strategy you have with this message. When we talk about some of those brand differentiators here, we definitely want to, let me go back. We definitely want to focus on the things that are going to matter to consumers at this period of time. Free shipping. Free shipping is something that everyone kind of expects nowadays. Last year, especially, we started to see a pretty big shift from discounts plus free shipping into free shipping being the primary discount. And sometimes it was the free expedited shipping on top of it. So that's going to matter, especially as we move deeper into the season where those shipping delays, if they do happen, are going to be impactful for you. So again, there's where your sense of urgency comes in. We're going to talk about extended return policies or these customer-friendly services. So I always, every year, regardless of what happens, I always advise companies to extend the return policies. I've been burned by it before, but you buy a product, 30 days go by because you hold it for 2 weeks and then you gift it, and maybe it takes them a week or two to use or wear the product, whatever it is. And there might be a return in there, and that 30 days is wiped. Well, if everyone's buying so much earlier this year, that 30 days might expire before you even gift the product. So if you're a retailer, I would certainly recommend extending your return policies, but promoting the heck out of it. Hey, 90-day return policies, especially for this holiday season, promote it in your messaging. All those value adds that would cause someone to want to shop with you and not a competitor, hit them home, yell them from the rooftops, and shout them out loud. And obviously, customer service plays a big role here. So live chat on your website, 24/7 support, satisfaction guarantees, really whatever it can be. We want to talk about those things here. Even if you have free gift wrapping on purchases over X amount, let them know that's just one more thing to take off their plate when people are probably pushed to the limit based on certain things. Holiday content, again, this is more just optimization of the message, but if you have holiday content like gifts for him, gifts for her, gift guides, whatever it might be sure to add those to your message. So navigation bars are a great place to do it. You also have secondary or tertiary content in the messages with big banners or images, sections, whatever it might be. But be sure to highlight those things. Product recommendations, also something, if you have new subscribers, they might not know, you might not have personalized recommendations for them, but you might have these top sellers or customer favorites or top rated you can promote. Again, use a little bit of social proof in there, try to drive them to where you want to go. And then obviously, if you have holiday specific items as well, use a visual call out in those messages as well. And then finally, I'm going to talk about this a little more detail in a few minutes, but SMS is a really big channel here where I think from a standpoint of engaging customers at a time where inboxes are going to be more crowded, this can really break through that noise here. Will everyone opt into your SMS program? No, it's just a fact. Will people opt into it? Absolutely. Guarantee you 100% people will want to get SMS messages, especially during the holiday season. This is a great way to really engage them at this point. So you can use them to serve as a gentle reminder. You can use them for last chance reminders. If the welcome incentive is going to expire, you can just use it as a touch point through that welcome series. But by collecting that opt-in and using it in the welcome message, you're creating an extra engagement point where they're not reliant on that crowded inbox as well. So moving on from the welcome message, let's look a little bit more at cart abandonment. So cart abandonment, chances are, will be the most profitable message you ever send out of your email program. Why? We all know the reason why, right? People have identified a specific product they're looking to shop for. Looking at that stats report again, 11% of all email conversions during Q2 from shopping cart abandonment messages. We have clients that make 15 to 20% of their yearly email revenue on cart abandonment messages, which generally equate to less than 1% of the email sends. We're all probably sending them for the holidays. If you don't, definitely do it. But we probably have these, but it's all about optimizing these to cater to that shopper at this time of year. So think about some slight adjustments we want to do here from a timing, a messages standpoint, and some of these will kind of dictate the other one a little bit as well. So let's look at timing and number of messages, because these things kind of go hand in hand a little bit. If you normally have a message that says sends at 1 hour, 24 hours, and 5 days after abandonment, you probably want to shorten that time period a little bit. So again, people are going to be shop early. They're going to shop often. They're going to shop more frequently, right? So what we want to do is we want to consolidate that time period. So 1 or 2 hours after abandonment, maybe 24 hours, maybe a day or two later, right? Shrink that timing down and say, let's capitalize them while we can capitalize them, and let's move on from there. Now, this does present the opportunity where from a message standpoint, say, okay, I sent 3 messages, it works good, but now I'm taking this 5-day and I'm chopping it down to 2 days. Well, what do? Well, I've had a lot of clients in the past do this. We have OmniSend has clients that does this now outside of the holiday season, but we add a 4th or 5th message in there. Don't always need to do it, but for certain brands, for certain products, for certain price points, it makes a really good option, because we know that holiday season, what are we doing with our shopping carts, right? Some people are putting them in there and actually abandoning. Some people are using them as wish lists, right? They're just jamming a bunch of stuff in there, and they might buy a piece or two from a different brand. They might buy this piece here, and they might come back later, take half the cart out, purchase the other half, whatever it might be. But they might still be in that consideration phase. So if we add a 4th or 5th message that maybe applies to those longer windows, 5, 6, 7 days, we now increase our chance of getting them to come back for something, whether it's the whole cart or part of the cart. Now, these other things, they also impact each other from this standpoint as well. If you're shortening the timing, you might want to change your incentive structure a little bit. And this is where we start talking about some of those same incentive things where they're matching the holidays. But this is where you really have the opportunity to use that sense of urgency. You know they've identified products, you know they're close. Let's tweak that language to be like, hey, get it before these gone. These things are going to sell out fast. I always tell the story. My wife's birthday is about a week before Christmas. So like come this Black Friday, Cyber 10 type period, I am doing a lot of shopping. I'm doing Christmas shopping. I'm doing holiday shopping. Of course, for my boys, I'm doing shopping for them as well. I'm buying a lot of stuff during this time of year. From a discount standpoint, it works well for me. I think they make up for it the rest of the year as well. But there are times every single year, and I don't know why I continue to do this. I work in the space, but I jam stuff in a shopping cart, and I'm like, I'm going to just wait an extra day to see if I get a bigger discount. What happens? Half the products, the sizes I need are no longer there. So this year, sense of urgency is going to be a really big factor for being able to talk through these different things. And again, let's talk about SMS here. So again, if we've opted into SMS, we have the ability to put SMS messages into these workflows, and think about from that timing standpoint again. How does it work? Well, if we chop down our email messages to say 3 messages over 2 or 3 days, but we want to send their 4th or 5th message, but we're really concerned about quote unquote bothering a customer, SMS is a great touch point. We don't have to send a 4th email to these people, but we know we can cut through and engage with them via SMS, remind them to either check their email or drive them back to the cart at that point as well. So you can automate these in there, and maybe they get something a little special, right? I'm going to talk about exclusivity in a few minutes, but hey, do they get an SMS only discount? Can we break up our email workflow with an SMS maybe between message 2 and message 3 if we want to keep 3 a little bit longer, a little bit more delayed. So there's a lot of opportunities here to really factor in these other channels, but also figure out the timing and the structure of these messages where you can maximize the effectiveness of them. And then finally, cart total and purchaser, right? These are things that from an automated standpoint, you might really have an advantage this year. So you think about, well, let's just say your free shipping threshold on your website is $35, right? If we know we have a shopping cart that abandons and the customer has $25 in that cart, do we need a 5-touch series? Maybe, maybe not, right? Product dependent, price dependent. But what we could do is we could set some automation that simply says, hey, under $50, let's provide this incentive. And it's XYZ off if you spend over a minimum spend. So 10% if you spend over $60, or I'm sorry, $50, right? But then we can quantify free shipping as part of that incentive there. And we're trying to increase the minimum spend at that point. If we know they're either wish listing a cart or they've got a really big cart there that we want to take advantage of, we don't need to talk about free shipping. We can give them a discount. We can use that sense of urgency, but we can talk about some of those value adds. no hassle returns, extended return policies, expedited shipping, whatever it might be there, that is going to compel that high shopper to come over. And the same really applies to purchase history here. If we know that Greg is abandoned, he's never bought from us, he's a first-time customer, maybe we want to bribe them a little bit more to shop. If Jim from next door abandons the shopping cart and he purchased it from 12 times this year, do you need to over incentivize this person? Maybe not, but maybe you specify that they're a loyal customer. So we can filter on a couple different things here to make your message a little more poignant, a little more direct to that individual consumer who's shopping. And then the third and last type of automation I'm going to talk through, which is going to have the biggest revenue impact for you, is product and browse abandonment. So again, you can see from these metrics here, high open rates, high conversion rates, product abandonment, actually over 50% open rates, the best performing from an open rate standpoint, automated message that we send that is not a transactional message like an order and shipping confirmation here, but high conversion rates. Now, you don't have to do both. You can do both. You can choose which one to do, but these are really high revenue driving messages for a lot of different reasons. One, they're window shoppers. They haven't carted a product, but they are on your site and they are shopping, and we can do subtle reminders to them. Now, some of these are going to be very similar to cart abandonment rules. They kind of play side by side here. So if we think about what we can do from product or browse abandonment, think about your high traffic categories or your high traffic products, or maybe holiday specific ones where you want to set it up. So do we want to do browse abandonment, which is more like if you think about category abandonment. So I was shopping men's shoes on the site, right? We can do a generic message around men's shoes versus a specific pair of shoes I was looking at, which is now your product abandonment. So we can use these and say, okay, do we have holiday specific content, or do we have high traffic categories of the website for this time of year? Or maybe we have excess inventory we need to move out, whatever it might be. You can determine how you want to take that strategy. From a timing standpoint, these are going to look like very relevant messages to a very relevant consumer at a very relevant time. They can look standard promotional messages. We don't need to actually tell them we saw them checking things out in the cart. It's okay to do so. You don't have to, though. You can just make it look very timely. So here's the benefit, but think about your timing, your incentive structure, all the same things we talked about with cart abandonment. Quicker, get them before they shop somewhere else, and you'll be better off for it. And same with the message content. You don't necessarily need to incentivize in these messages. Now, you certainly can incentivize in the messages to try to capture that intent, but this is a place where they're just browsing. They maybe haven't identified anything specific. What we can do is we focus on that sense of urgency a little bit. Hey, Greg, saw you checking these things out. Now, you probably don't need first name personalization here, but hey, just a reminder, these products are customer favorites and they are going to go quick this year. So get them before they're gone, right? We want to use them there. And again, we factor in using SMS for messages like this as well. So we can automate these messages into the workflow itself. We send an email, break it up with an SMS, send the last chance message, or maybe it's just one email, one SMS. Maybe it's just an SMS. That's fine as well. So the strategy is really up to you. The most important part is using the messages and making them drive revenue for you while you're sleeping in on the back end and trying to get those conversions in. So the 3 revenue driving automations I would absolutely hit this holiday season: welcome message, cart abandonment, and browse or product abandonment. Focus on the speed of the messaging. Let's shorten that time window from consumer taking an action to consumer getting an email. Let's use the channels available to us. And SMS, I think, is a gold mine for retailers this year. And just factor in your incentive strategy and how you want to use that going forward. So automation's critical. We're going to get going. All right, number 2, I talked about other channels. SMS. This, to me, has the biggest untapped holiday potential this upcoming season. It's an opt-in channel. We saw during the COVID stats report we put out that when stuff hit the fan, people were turning to these trusted channels, or these opt-in channels, if you will. So SMS is one of those things where retailers are increasingly using it. Consumers are increasingly adopting to it. Last Black Friday, I would say at a point where SMS was still popular, but nowhere near where it was today, the conversion rates on SMS messages compared to email messages, 7x, right? So it was impactful on these busy days. Why? Because the inboxes are getting crowded. That's going to be more crowded this year than in years past, as it usually is every year, but probably exponentially so this year. The beauty about SMS, I talked about using it as a complementary channel before with those automations. You can use it complementary and you can use it as a standalone channel. To me, that's really the beauty of it. Now, here's the thing. You might be sitting there and say, I don't have an SMS program. Doesn't matter. It's not too late. These things are easy to go. Are you going to get 100% of your subscribers to opt into it? No, no one will. But if you add this to your pop-up form, exit intent forms as well, start collecting them right now. You can start using them right now. And if you get 50, it's 50 people you can touch and potentially drive conversions. I think you'll be surprised at how many people are signing up for it as well. So this is really the thing here. Average return, it doesn't have to be expensive. 5 years ago, SMS was a lot more costly. It is no longer costly. So that price is not a barrier for it, but the return is phenomenal with it. And I mentioned, it is not too late. So go ahead and start adding these things up. Now, if you look at this Q2, just a very quick stat for you, we sent X number of SMS messages. It was somewhere in the millions. September 1st to 22nd, I was pulling some data out there because I'm a data geek a little bit. And almost 100% of the volume of messages from the first 22 days in September from the entire Q2. If you think about this, we have retailers starting to adopt this. They're starting to play with it for the holiday season. It's going to be a really cool tool for you. So I just want to give you a couple friendly reminders about how we can maybe use SMS in a very scalable, easy to use way that's going to generate. One, these messages are time sensitive. 90% of all SMSs from retailers are read within the first 3 minutes, which makes it a perfect thing of where we can use it. So think about these last chance reminders, expiration reminders, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Thanksgiving. We know these sales are going to be extended, but if you have 1 hour left, it's a great channel to say, hey, 1 hour left, sale is going to expire. Get it before it's gone, whatever it might be, because email, we can send it out. They might read the email, but they might read it an hour late because they get to it, right? So we have this immediate channel to them. Great if you want to do flash sales as well. So flash sales, you might not want to send an email to anyone, but you want to test out, move specific product or test out a particular type of sale. These are great from a flash sale standpoint as well, because we know it's going to be timely. We know they'll see it, and we can track and test the conversion principles of the SMS messages at that point as well. You can use these to drive people to email. I briefly mentioned that before, but you can send a text that says something like, hey, check your email for Black Friday week sales, or abandoned cart, right? If you have messages where you want to convey more visuals or more detail, a lot of different things, use it to drive people over to the email. They know the email is waiting for them. They've seen it. And if they're in front of their computer, their phone, however they're accessing it, they can jump over and check it out there as well. And obviously, we can integrate this into workflows, which I mentioned before as well. Think about also if you have a sale that's starting, right? So, hey, sale starts in 30 minutes. Be sure to check your email or check over to the website, whatever it might be. Just like an email program, exclusivity matters with these things as well. So think about how we can get people excited about the SMS program. Is it SMS only discounts through the entire season? Is it an extra discount? Is it early warning for these sales, whether it's a flash sale or a typical sale? Hey, it's going to start in XYZ. These are all really good use cases for using SMS to those subscribers who opt in to receiving channels through here. MMS is another one as well, where these are images that go along with the SMS message. So do you need to use MMS for every single message? I would say no, you do not. But think about where visuals can help you. So, hey, we want to focus on a specific type of product, or we have a promo code that we just want people to remember. Black Friday 2020, and you get 20.2% off, whatever. It's a recognizable promo code. We can use a visual where people will understand and recognize it and remember that visual very quickly. They don't need to check XYZ. They just click the link and they go and they can shop and they can remember it. But it's a nice, friendly reminder. Plus, the next time they go their text messages, they'll see this thing there as well. So it's also an after the fact subtle reminder. Free gifts, if you want to promote something free you're giving with a purchase, visual element to it, it is perfect. I mentioned workflows before. I'm not going to dive deep into where we can use this, but think about transactional messages, order confirmations, shipping confirmations, right? These are things where if we're experiencing shipping delays or people just want some comfort in knowing their product shipped out, right? These messages are great for that. Hey, product shipped out, be on the lookout. There are also great cross-sell opportunities there. People are shopping more in the holiday season. So you can see here, hey, things shipped out. Thanks for your order. By the way, forgot something, come back at 20% off. But it gives a lot of comfort, but it really enhances the customer experience, especially this year, right? That verbiage, especially this year. But if these shipping delays do come to mass fruition, it'd be really nice, a great way to communicate with people. And then finally, the last couple minutes we have here, I'm going to talk about some general sending here. So, if we think about the holiday season, for a couple of years now, it has not been about single days. It hasn't been about single weekends. it's really wrapped up into these longer and shorter periods of time. And I think this is the one year where we know holiday season is starting earlier and earlier every year. Right? We've gone from Black Friday to a couple of the Cyber weekend, and then we've gone to Gray November, and now we're getting in all these different periods here. This is the one season where I think if you wait, you are late. And I tell people, don't be late. So let's talk about when to send, strategies, tips for sending. I was about to tell you a story about it when I met my wife on our first date where she was late. I won't tell you that story, although I just did. All right, so don't be late. So let's think about it. I'm not saying that Prime Day, which is October 13th, 14th this year, is going to be something you need to incorporate necessarily into your holiday strategy. Some retailers will, some retailers won't. I think you'll be fine without it. I think what that does is it really kicks off the official start of the holiday season, which I expected to start that mid-October anyways. I think to me, this just confirms it. So really what this means is in the next couple of weeks, you should probably start aligning some of your early strategies again. It doesn't mean you need to run your Black Friday sales like some companies are doing now. You don't necessarily need to do those in October, but this is your time to start doing, promoting sense of urgency within your messaging, even if it's small tweaks. Start testing out discount strategies, start tweaking your automation timing to see which might work better or not, but start these things in mid-October, late October at worst case scenario. But by the last week of October, I think you're going to be in full scale holiday mode here. We talked about these periods, and we are in these periods now where it used to be about Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Those are just tentpole days now. They do not make up the entire season. So if you wait to run your best deal on Black Friday or even Thanksgiving Day, which is a major shopping day now, you are waiting too long. You are leaving money on the table. Black Friday, it's been turning the Black Friday week for a couple different years now. Last year, it accelerated. It became the official Black Friday week. Now, people always talk about the Cyber 5, which is Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. In reality, I tell you to think about the Cyber 10 as that Sunday before to the Tuesday after Cyber Monday. The Tuesday after Cyber Monday is one of the busiest shopping days of the entire holiday season. Thanksgiving is one of the busiest days of the year. You could see the spike on the chart here for kind of that 10-day span. And I would anticipate this kind of gets ratcheted up this year as well. So I think my guess is 2 weeks before Black Friday is when you will start to see the onslaught of Black Friday deals come to fruition. So what does this mean? It really means that you think about these periods. Don't wait until Black Friday, Thanksgiving, maybe even Black Friday week to start your best deals. But if worst case scenario, I would start on the Sunday before. As far as sending strategies, don't be scared to send daily. We talked about October being this ramp up period. Now, this is a great time if you are a low send company where you're only sending 1 or 2 messages a week. Use October to slightly increase those sends. So if you're 2, go to 3 to 4, and start to see, prime people for how they should start reacting and seeing your emails come across your inbox. On these tentpole days, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I always say it's not about these days anymore, but they will be the 2 biggest online shopping days in history this year. So I recognize that fact. On these peak days, Thanksgiving, the Tuesday after, don't be scared to send 3 times, morning, afternoon, and evening in these things. Use SMS to break up the noise. Everyone's going to be sending 3, 4, 5 times. They were doing it last year. SMS goes back, a channel to cut through that noise a little bit. If you do use remail, or booster sends, right, we're sending automated messages to non-openers of the original message, I would caution you to do so, because what we're doing is we're potentially impacting our deliverability a little bit more because we are sending more than this time. But you have messages that probably everyone else wants to see. And if they missed it the first time, they might want to see it the second time. If they clicked on it the first time but didn't buy, they might still want to see it the second time, right? We want to get in the bind. So I'd use emails very cautiously here. And then weekends tend, over the last few years, weekends during November, with the exception of Cyber weekend, Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend, tend to see lower email volume days. So let's use these days to your advantage. And maybe you want to up your sends there because there are going to be fewer inboxes there. Or maybe you want to use these days as SMS messages for whatever reason, but use these to your advantage for sure. So that is 30 minutes of no BS takeaways. If you do these things, you will see increased revenue this year, but you need to do them as best you can. But definitely play around with them. Do the tweaks that you possibly can. When it comes to automation, focus on those key ones that are going to drive revenue. And that's going to be your welcome message, your cart abandonment, and your product/browse abandonment, whichever one you might do or might want to do. Promote those value adds. Think about your incentive strategy. Use a sense of urgency across all your messages. Promotional, doesn't matter. Use that sense of urgency and integrate SMS both as into your workflows as a standalone channel and to drive people to your emails as well. SMS, like I said, I think it's going to be a gold mine for retailers this year. So definitely test it. Again, it's not a cost barrier and it's not too late to start. And then finally, don't be late, send early, send often. Do not rely on Black Friday and Cyber Monday to drive your season. Think in nothing else. Think about the Cyber 10. It's Sunday before to the Tuesday after, but definitely start before then. And I think if you do these things, you'll be in perfect shape here. My email address is right here on the screen, greg@omnisend.com. If you have questions, feel free to find me. I'm going to try to shoot over to the Expo booth here in just a minute. So if you have questions there as well. And we have a holiday season of Card Insiders podcast, which I'm the host of, dropping in about 2 weeks here. So be sure to check that out. But thank you very much for your time today. I want to